Another near miss for Scotland, as they're going to have to wait another little while at least for the first win against the All Blacks. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. This one really was a tale of two halves. New Zealand starting superbly well. First couple of minutes on the attack into 22. Lord with a brilliant offload. Finds Rygaard right in. He's always there in good position, trailing runs. Over he goes to score, converted for 7 points to 0. Scotland then have a good period of possession close to 22. They're in there a couple of times, but handling errors really letting them down at crucial times. And that was really different between the two teams in that first half, was accuracy at crucial moments. New Zealand then come forward. They're applying pressure close to the line. They go to width on the right, but a desperate tackle keeps them out. Scotland offside a couple of times, and they get a warning about that. Possible yellow card. New Zealand opt for a scrum, and again pressure the line, but eventually Scotland force a knock on from just a big hit from Darcy Ray, who was really good in that defensive set, and they're able to clear. We then have a neck roll from Cody Taylor on Hutchison as Scotland were trying to clear, so they're able to kick clear from the penalty. Scotland move up the field. Russell then kicks a brilliant 50-22. They move it off the line out, go close, but Graham is held up over the line. And New Zealand's tactic I think they were using was he was short the line and they dragged him over to make sure that he was held up. And they did that a couple of times in that first half. New Zealand then work it back down the other end. They force a penalty. And they decide we're going to call for the tee, and they make it 10 points to 0. Scotland then back in the attack, just stretching the All Blacks defence. There's a trip on Graham by Carter as he was going through a gap. After team review, Carter goes to the bin. And a good carries into 22 by Brown, who had an excellent game, and Schumann as well. They go wide, but Russell gets held up over the line. Again, looked like the same tactic from New Zealand there. Scotland then come again, but Survey gets over the ball to win a penalty. And that New Zealand defence just, really holding Scotland out. And again, the ability of New Zealand just to take their chances and Scotland not to really feel like the difference. After they've weathered all of that, then New Zealand, they've got a decent position off a scrum. They attack from that. They recycle. They go to the blind side. They get in behind, and then just a nice ball back inside to Jordan, who goes over, and that gets converted for 70 points to 0, and that was a halftime score. And it felt like at that stage that was just the game done. And I did not see what happened in the second half happening at all. But Scotland, they do start the second half well, pressuring close to the line. They force a penalty. And just as the first yellow card period was expiring, they kicked to the corner. Another penalty at the line out. This time they managed to maul their way over. Ashman is to score. Savea goes to the bin for pulling it down illegally. Is converted for 17 points to 7. And I'm not sure, maybe Savea is pulling it down. Normally you would expect maybe a penalty try, but just because the conversion could have been missed. But I guess it makes sense if the referee sees the try, it's a try, right? Scrum penalty then to Scotland, and they go to the corner. New Zealand do well to halt them all. Scotland move it to Pilatu with a good carry. Then Dempsey takes them close to the line. They go wide left. Kinghorn involved, doing really well. And then Stain goes over, and he very smart. He ran around to make it an easier conversion. That conversion is slotted 17-14, and now it's game on again. Scotland then work it back into 22. Ben White snipes close to the post. Somebody scrags him. I don't know who it was, but geez, they saved New Zealand's bacon there, because it looked for all the world he was going to scamper, by the posts and put Scotland in the lead. Then Schoeman goes to the line, but he knocks on. And again, that New Zealand defence helped me out at a crucial moment. New Zealand then clear from just at, but they get it only just outside the 22. Scotland overthrow the line out, but then they win it back at the next ruck. They turn the ball over, and that actually gives them a decent chance to attack. They go wide right. Kinghorn gets onto the edge of the defence. Lovely out the back of hand pass to Graham. He dances down the touchline. He's going for the corner. Looks like he is going to score, but then Rygaard comes over and he puts enough pressure on him that Graham actually drops it as he's going for the line. And that would have been a famous try for him, but he couldn't get it. And just really great defence and great determination from Rygaard not to give up, what could have been, a lost cause. Then Lackey wins a penalty. New Zealand clear, and you feel like maybe the momentum was shifting back now. New Zealand on attack. Then they throw a pass to Dempsey. Dempsey is marauding in behind, but he doesn't have the pace to go for the line. So Scotland have to recycle, but they're back in the 22. New Zealand get pinged, and then Russell levels it up from the tee. And maybe that's the difference here between, I think, Scotland and New Zealand in this game. I think in that position, I think New Zealand would have gone to the corner and just gambled on getting themselves ahead, because yes, Scotland are level, but it means now they've got to create something else to potentially win the game. Whereas if they have the lead, then it's up to New Zealand to come at them, and Scotland can maybe catch them and break. But we then have another Timo check for a deliberate knock-on from Satiti. Another yellow card for New Zealand. We're into the last 10 minutes now, and then Mackenzie just kicks an absolute peach of a 50-22. You'll hardly ever see a better one. Right into the corner. New Zealand then take the line out. They win a penalty from that. They kick back to touch, and now they're going for the juggler. And that's what I was talking about is, they're not looking to just let's kick a penalty and nudge a little bit ahead. They want to close this game out with a try and just make it so that they're looking, basically always thinking about, let's get 2 scores ahead, not just 1. So Scotland then halt the ball, but it was illegal. They come in at the side, so we're playing penalty advantage. New Zealand go move it inside. Scotland scrambling over. They're covering well. They prevent Fainkanuku from going in. I think maybe they've actually saved themselves here. But then he gives the ball to Mackenzie. Mackenzie's going for the corner. Kinghorn is just absolutely steaming across, looking to just smash him into touch. Mackenzie, though, avoids him, kind of like a matador. Pirouettes. There's another Scotland player there as well. He avoids him as he's coming down onto the line, and kind of like, he's basically coming down on his back, but managed to ground the ball to score the try. Just an absolutely brilliant finish from him. And he come off the bench, but he actually got player of the match because he was that good off the bench. And yeah, the way he avoided those defenders there in a very tight space, avoids the touchline as well, and gets that try to put New Zealand ahead. Converse have missed 22 points to 17. Scotland then look to respond, but Fainkanuku gets over the ball, wins a penalty. We come into the Scotland half then. Scotland from the line out after that penalty was kicked up, swimming up to side the maul. So now it's a penalty to New Zealand. And now New Zealand decide this is the time to go for the posts, because now we're ahead. We're running down the clock. If we miss, Scotland have less than a minute to potentially win the game. If we score, it's a 2-score game, and it should be, good night for Scotland. So it's about 5 meters or so inside the half. It's out near the tram lines. Mackenzie places the ball on the tee and absolutely nails the kick. 25-17. There is another minute of play or so after that, but It doesn't really matter. That's our full-time score. And yeah, New Zealand just showing the difference between the sides, because you have to remember, like, up until that try, last 10 minutes of the game, they hadn't scored a point in the second half at all. So just amazing from them. Sorry, my alarm just went off there. But yeah, amazing from them the way they finished the game. And again, I think that's the difference between them, in that Scotland, they haven't got there yet. And again, I always say, to remind me of Ireland when we had close calls against New Zealand before we eventually, got a win. That, it's a lot of it is based on hope, right? They get back to 17-all, and then they're hoping to get another score. And, whereas, like, New Zealand are about, we're going to make a score. They're going for the corner at the right times. But not only that, they're backing themselves, but then they're backing up that risk that they took by getting the score. I've no doubt that eventually Scotland are going to get there. They're a really good side. Hopefully they don't have to wait too much longer, but you can see why, New Zealand have such an amazing record against so many nations, in rugby, because the rugby mentality that they have is, top drawer, themselves in the box. And in England, when they're really humming, like, are the teams that are really in the top drawer in terms of just the mental side of the game, I think. And the rest of us, mere mortals, as it were, we're, I think, behind on that side, even with Ireland. Although, like, again, when you do get that first win against somebody like New Zealand, the mindset does change a little bit. But still, I still think they have a bit of an edge, just because of experience and the whole kind of generations of that in their game. And it's up to other nations to build that. But yeah, Scotland, I thought, brilliant 30 minutes in that second half to get themselves back level. But, the lapse just before half time, where New Zealand got in to score a try, was massive. The fact that they couldn't score at all in the first half, another big pointer there as well. You got to, again, give credit to New Zealand for the defence there, but still, Scotland, talk about them so many times in these tight games that they had against New Zealand, they've got to be able to finish, take their chances. They didn't do it in the first half. Yes, they did it in the second half, but basically, they were basically erasing the errors, that they made in the first half and getting themselves back level. And then that's where, the great teams are kind of have that point of difference, not just getting back level. You then have to kick on and be able to bring the game home. Scotland weren't able to do it. New Zealand were. And again, I think that's just the difference between these teams. The Grand Slam tour still on for New Zealand. I think, I think everybody believes that if they can beat England, it will be a Grand Slam tour. I don't think even Welsh fans are thinking Wales are going to beat New Zealand on this tour. But yeah, that's where the mindset is at the moment, is, they needed to keep that Grand Slam alive, and they did it today. Scotland, great performance, but it's another kind of, close one for them that they weren't able to bring home at the end. And, that search for the first win goes on for them. But let me know what you think down in the comments.